This is the Business Owners IT Podcast with Anthony Gerasch and Ryan Carter, where tomorrow's technology meets today's conversations.
Hi, I'm Tony Gerasch.
And I'm Ryan Carter, and this is the Business Owners IT Podcast.
A podcast where we discuss tips, tricks, and solutions for business owners involving all things tech.
Tony came in a little quick there on me, so
Yeah.
that was fun. Anyway, let's dive right into our weekly review. And this week we're going to discuss migrating to the cloud, preferably like SharePoint. As we've seen, it's becoming a growing trend to move away from on-site file servers to SharePoint. Tony, can you tell us what SharePoint kind of is and give us an overview of a large migration project that you are currently working on?
Sure. So, SharePoint's basically file storage as a document library in the cloud. It's in Microsoft's cloud, right? So you have Microsoft 365. Most of our customers have it. Most people are adopting it today. So it's, I think you get 1 terabyte of storage, and then you have to buy above that. There's a charge above 1 terabyte. OneDrive is also part of SharePoint. And what's happening is we're seeing, we have customers that we're finally are ready to start embracing, cloud storage for documents, mostly because they want to take advantage of Copilot. And they want to be able to write some apps around Copilot and some apps around some other, business, line of business type of work. So, I'm in the middle of a very large project to migrate, probably, I would say when we're done, 6 terabytes of storage to SharePoint.
Okay. And is there some challenges with migrating, or is it just drag and drop?
Yeah. So there is some challenges, right? So one of the big challenges is that, not every file type is going to be a good feature for SharePoint. So, as you're doing this migration to SharePoint, it's really a good time to clean up your data and move out the files that, can't be used there. Why would you want to pay for storage monthly on something you can't use? So in this case, it's a large engineering firm, and they have a lot of WaterCAD. I mean, we have a lot of experience with WaterCAD and SewerCAD and AutoCAD and PondPack and traffic counts, and I got a whole list of stuff that's kind of buried in these project folders. Now, this company is very organized, very, very organized. It's just that it never mattered before because we kept all that data in one spot. But the big part of this project is we're having to split that apart. We're having to take all this stuff that's Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, pictures, and all that stuff, and we're going to migrate that, but we're going to pull out all of the other files. Okay. And that's a big challenge, because you need to know the customer's data. You need to know the data you're working on. Typically, a person at the company would do that, but in this case, we're doing it.
So, you said earlier you're going to move about 6 terabytes of data, and I think you said in the very beginning there's like 1 terabyte that you're given, so you're going to have to pay maybe for some overage. Mm-hmm. But do you feel there's a benefit there with that scalability instead of having to buy more drives or going out and buying a brand new server to add more disk space? Do you think there's a benefit?
Yeah. So the benefit is they won't be buying any more servers, right? This is an engineering company. They'll always have servers for AutoCAD and some other stuff. I shouldn't say always, but there's a good chance they will have servers for that. But they can scale now. They don't have to worry about hard drives. They don't have to worry about their on-premise backups, getting big, buying bigger things.
Maintenance too.
Maintenance too, right. And the other thing too is, this is a VPN company, right? They don't have to do VPN. They can get it from their iPhone. They can get it from their cell phone. They can get it from their laptop. They can get it from the browser. They can get it from anywhere. Yeah,
because now you're using a different authentication provider to get it, and
yes.
And you got the single sign-on piece with Microsoft that has the multi-factor authentication.
Yes.
So yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say from anywhere, because if you do it right, we have conditional access. So really, they can't get it from anywhere, but they can pretty much get it from anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, unless they ask nicely, they can go somewhere else and use it too.
Absolutely.
And another thing is, there's no maintenance. I think we talked about that. Microsoft is actually paying for the electricity on that too, so you don't have to worry about that piece for yourselves. It's the collaboration piece too.
Yes.
What do you got on collaboration? Sorry.
Yeah, I got a lot on collaboration. So we're using we're not using SharePoint per se in-house, but we use a lot of OneDrive, right? So I end up sharing my stuff. OneDrive is basically on SharePoint. It's like your My Documents. It's your old My Documents, really, was what it is. And today it's your desktop and your pictures and everything are, if you use OneDrive to back up your desktop and all that, it'll all be there. But you can have 2 people, 3 people in a document at a time. So, yesterday we were working on something, and I was working with, I got to get her name right, Alexis. I'm always calling her the wrong name. She's a new hire. And, we're both working in the document at the same time. I was putting in some dates. She was putting in some cost. We were working. So we can actually collaborate that way, too, where we have, now that we're in the cloud, we can actually have multiple people working on a document. And I guess it seems like, when would I ever do that? Well, I used to think the same thing. When would I ever do that? Until you have multiple things, multiple people working on something, PowerPoint presentation, we can all be in it, right? Ryan can be in it looking at something that he's going to talk about. If we have 3 or 4 people on a presentation, Ryan could do his part in there. At the same time, Alex can do his part. I can do my part. Our admin staff can do some of the numbers, the contracting part of it. So you really can have multiple people at the same time, and that's cool.
And it's pretty cool because it says who's working on it too. The icon says, oh, Ryan's down here working on this piece. Tony's up here working on this piece, and whoever.
Right.
Another great piece of it is the in the file server world we use previous versions.
Yeah.
So you're using up disk space for that, but in SharePoint you can go back very far on. So say that document that you're working on with someone, and someone messes something up or deletes out something, you can roll back to a previous version of that. I think it's up to the minute or hour. I can't remember with SharePoint. Do you know?
No, I don't know what the exact thing is, but it does have the ability to look at the previous versions of that file. And I will say, this company's unique, right? Because they have a lot of what I'm talking about, or we're doing now. They have a lot of data, but most of our customers that have file storage on servers don't have a terabyte of storage.
No, not
that's
even.
A lot of storage, right? So most of them don't have a terabyte of storage. So literally, you could, you have the ability to take advantage of that. And we have customers, right, that aren't managed customers. I'll say they're on time and material. They don't really take advantage of it because they don't know about it. But we're not offering to do these things for them. That's one of the advantages of being with us is if they were a managed customer, we have some insurance brokers and other things, then we would actually help them get to there because it's just a better way for them to do business.
Yeah, and when it comes time for server renewal, we talk to them about it. We're like, hey, you're only doing file storage here with this. Like, that's it with this server and authentication. We can move the authentication to Azure AD, and we can move your files to SharePoint. Now you can collaborate in the cloud, and if you decide to go with Copilot, you could actually really use it to pull documents that you need to find.
Yeah, another kind of roadblock, right, is if you have a path, a file path, that's your C:// file name / file, a folder. If it's bigger than 256 characters, you're going to have a hard time migrating it. So a lot of legacy customers or people that have been using file servers for a long time, they have these huge paths, right? So that's another thing that we kind of got to trim down.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing for the experts. There's, Tony has scripts that'll look for that and tell you, like, these files are the ones we need to trim down. Yeah.
So basically that's another thing, that we did, right? Because we have experience doing, we have a whole bunch of different power scripts to help with this. So we have a power script that'll go out and find all the file types, and then we create that list and we go through it with the customer and say, okay, which file types, these are the file types we can move. What are we going to do with these?
Yeah.
And, and then also empty folders. People have tons of empty folders, right? We have scripts to clean up them empty folders because we don't want to move them empty folders to SharePoint.
Yeah, why? What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? It's time to clean up the data.
Yep.
We have, temporary files. So customers, we found hundreds and hundreds of temporary files. We have scripts now to go out and delete those temporary files. They're like old Word documents that closed and the temp file's still there.
Yep.
So we get a lot of those. Access locks. I couldn't believe how many locks there were out there that were files that were for Microsoft Access. It's like,
you don't even need
them.
You don't need the lock file. Yeah.
There's nobody in Access. Let's just delete these. But yeah, so it's an interesting project because it's huge scale.
And another fun piece of it that I won't touch on too much is that once you have it in SharePoint, maybe you are using Copilot. Now you have integrations that you can use with like the Power Apps, Power BI.
Yeah.
Just different integrations where the AI can take and merge documents together, or you can search for a document and create another document out of it. I've done that before. I'm like, hey, find this email, find the key points, and make me a PowerPoint, and boom, boom, boom. It just does it with the prompt piece of it. So there's a lot that can be done with integrations. I don't know if you have anything on integrations or.
Well, I mean, Copilot, right? That's that feature is huge. I mean, because I can now, in seeing that it's just like a civil engineering company, they get a lot of FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act. Now using Copilot, they're going to be able to go out there and say, hey, find me everything, find me all my emails, all my documents that I have access to, right? That has these keywords in it. Maybe a project number and talks about floodplain, or a project number and it was addressed to this attorney, and they'll be able to get all of that information and summarize it together.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's cool. Just as a searching mechanism, Copilot's going to be awesome.
And I know we've touched on it quite a bit, but we also, especially when you're starting to do these integrations, is we got to go back to the security piece of it too, and make sure that, the documents you're putting in there and the people you want to see those documents are recorded and put in properly, in groups, or whomever just needs to be able to see that security, the security piece of it's very important.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to revisit your security because now searching is fast. So, you don't want somebody to, you're going to have to take some keywords and go out and look like, search Copilot or search thing for salaries and see what's out there just to make sure. People drag and drop stuff all the time, right? In a file server, that task is very long and laborious to try to find that. But now you're looking inside the folders. You're looking inside those documents too.
Yeah.
And it might be easier to get it.
Yep. And that leads me to our tip of the week is, for wanting to move to SharePoint, it may be a cool concept for you, but you also got to think, does it work for you as a company? Are you using tons of big CAD files that just won't be able to be pulled down from the cloud? Or if you're just using Excel files where you're going to collaborate in Word and all of that, as a company, you got to think about what's going to work for you, right?
Absolutely. It's not for everybody. But if you want to take advantage, I mean, I think this is where it's going. I would say that most people are going to be on some type of cloud storage for files, in the near future.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the end, today we kind of talked about the scalability of SharePoint. We talked about the redundancy, collaborations, different integrations that you can do, the security aspect of it, and just a lot to think about. So, again, we always ask that if you have questions to reach out to us, leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever it is that John's telling me to do all the time. Just make sure you're putting it in there. And if you have a question, though, just drop it in the comments. And that's all I really have, Tony. If you have more, please go ahead. If not, take us on out.
Yeah, and I will say that too. If you need help or something, and you may not be able to afford an MSP or somebody to help us, but you want to do this, again, you can always ask us questions, and we will answer it. We will try to help you. I mean, we're not going to do it for you, but we can point you in the right direction where to get the answers, and we're willing to help people get there.
And if you're afraid to talk to an IT person, like if you don't have, like Tony said, maybe you can't afford it, or you just have questions, our community has really gotten so good at answering anybody's questions and helping them. There's always that arrogant IT guy, they can just whatever for them. But for Tony and I and other people that we talk to on a daily basis, we love to talk about what we do and we love to help. That's why we got into this, is to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. Take us on out if you'd like.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining into the Business Owners IT podcast, and we hope to see you next week.
See you next week where we talk about what is this thing?
Yeah, what is this thing? That's going to be good.
Thank you.
Unique Computing Solutions. Your IT challenges solved.